Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. We now head into a most exciting debate, bootstrapping or funding, the big fight. I would now like to invite Mr. Ravi Gururaj, Chair Product Council and co-founder Frictionless Ventures, to moderate this discussion. I would also like to invite the panelists, Mr. Ashish Chauhan, MD and CEO, Bombay Stock Exchange, best known as the father of modern financial derivatives in India. He was among those 5 people selected from IDBI to set up the National Stock Exchange. Mr. Abhishek Rungt, founder and CEO, Indus Technologies, a premier web development and digital marketing company with offices and subsidiaries in India, UK, and USA. Indus Technologies has been rated as the #1 IT SME by Dun & Bradstreet and also ranked in Deloitte Technology Fast 50 India. Mr. Bimal Patwari, CEO, Pinnacle Infotech Solutions. This first-generation entrepreneur has extensively worked with architects, engineering companies, contractors, and government agencies in India, USA, Europe, Australia, Middle East, and has won several awards and recognition. Mr. Ambarish Gupta, a computer science graduate from IIT Kanpur and an MBA from Carnegie Mellon University, USA, is the founder and CEO of Knowlarity Communications, starting off his career as a researcher for the Fraunhofer Institute for Computer Graphics in Germany. This entrepreneur's career includes joining software major EFI, working as a senior associate in McKinsey & Company. I welcome all the panelists and Mr. Ravi Gururaj.
Work? Yeah. Okay, good. So we've got an interesting topic, which is should you bootstrap or should you get your company funded? And before we start, maybe I'll just ask Abhishek to define bootstrap, and I'll ask Mr. Chauhan to define funded, and so that we have at least our terminology right, and we're talking the right language. So Mr. Chauhan, maybe you, Ashish Chauhan, maybe you could go first.
Let me give you. Okay. Yeah, so let me, in fact, give you a story of mine, so you'll figure out what he means. So I used to work for Reliance at some point in time. I started as an employee of a public sector bank, and then I set up NSE, which was in some sense entrepreneurial venture, but it was owned by other people, so I got nothing out of it. And then in 2000, I started on my own. It was funded by Reliance Group, and so it didn't work out. After 2001, e-commerce went down, so I also went down, and I got merged into them. Parallelly, I was also running another company, and I was doing a 24/7 job. I was head of, I was president CA of Reliance Group, and also CEO of Mumbai Indians cricket team, and also head of PR for Reliance Group, and so on and so forth. But this small little company was going on, 100 people. And when I would go to friends who were in private equity, venture capital, and say, I need some funds, and they would say, boss, you are a great friend for 20 years, but our ticket size is $25 million, below that we don't fund, And so I would say, boss, if I had 25 million USD, then why would I come to you for funding at all, right? But somehow that was their way to tell me no. And then this company finally became big enough for me to figure out whether I run it full time or sell it. And I decided to sell out. BSC bought it, and they put a condition that I would work with them for a year. That's how I came into BSC. And basically that's when I realized that when you sell the company, you also have an issue of taxation if you are not listed. So idea is you run on your own funds. I kept on funding the company for entire life. Whatever I earned, it was basically going into that big sump, and you never knew whether it will survive in future or not. Second is you went to venture capitalists, angel investors. No angel came for me, boss. Probably that is my luck, but effectively I used to hear that people can write on napkin and they get funding, but on towels also I got nothing. And then third thing is when I joined BSc, I said we need to do something. And I said, one, I need to have ability to at least save tax. If nobody gives me money, it's fine. But when somebody sells the company, at least he needs to have some tax benefits. So we started this SME platform where anyone can list very small companies. And today we have around 63 companies listed as of date. 15 more will list in next 1 month. Every day practically we are getting newer companies of different types, not only IT, but different types. And average people are raising around 9 crore funds. Usually they are raising from friends, families, vendors, suppliers, people who know them, not from rest of the world. But that is also capitalism of sorts. They put in 1 lakh each into you, and that's whatever is called crowdfunding or whatever it is called. But in BSE, now you have a platform where you can get it funded by other people. And average money raised is around 9 crore. Average market cap valuation at the time of listing is around 36 crores. And today, average market cap after listing is around 120 crores. So around 3.5x. It's happening. And of course, if a private equity guy comes, he will tie your hands, legs, everything else, and you'll have to run with that. While if you're listing, you will have sort of much better life if you are an entrepreneur. And private equity guy or a venture capitalist also, they are looking for exit, right? Finally, they are not investing in you for sort of a sake of it. They are investing in you for exit. And when you list, that is called exit, right? So effectively, this framework gives everything.
Yeah. Okay, no, it's good. It's working. So good. So Abhishek, how about yourself? Are you bootstrapped or are you funded?
So I'm bootstrapped all the way. And I think bootstrapping is when, your friends, families and fools don't believe in putting money in you. So jokes apart, when you are the only person at risk. So I think that's bootstrapping, where you kind of, if you want 10 lakhs, then you basically, start with your 100 rupee and you multiply that and play the rice game on the chessboard till you reach that 10 lakhs. So I think
How long have you been bootstrapping? How long have you been bootstrapping?
Myself 17 years now.
17 years.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And so, would love to know about you, Bimal. What's going on?
Okay. See, I have taken loans from banks. So I would still consider that as bootstrapping, because I have given my personal guarantee and all my assets, family assets have been mortgaged. And so bank actually didn't take any risk. So I have been bootstrapped. I have always taken funds from bank whenever I required it. And I am all for it. And we'll discuss the details.
Got it. Are you married?
Yeah, I'm married.
So your wife is your venture capitalist then?
Yes.
Okay. How about you, Ambarish? Where have you come out on this?
No, I'm heavily funded. So
And you're still married?
It's heavily funded, raised 3 rounds of investment, seed, angel, and Series A, and probably go to Series B as well. Fundamentally coming from the beliefs that if it is large, then if it is bootstrapping is going to take you 5 years, you might as well go and raise money and try to do it in 3 years and make it double the size. So that is how I think, and that's the kind of ideas I picked up. So it's a very really person. In my case, it ended up being this way.
Got it. So you're thinking expanding the pie in some sense, and
Yep, exactly.
Though your slice of the pie is going down.
Yeah. So I was just looking at the history of. I was talking to somebody. If you look at the American Revolution, Benjamin Franklin went to France to get the war against Britain funded. The more than $30 billion funded. So capital is a very important of doing something big. Capital, people, and the idea. These 3 things are very important. And if you don't have capital, things still work, but it just takes longer time. And I think it's more efficient for my life to just maybe do it in shorter period of time and do something else after that.
Got it. So, what I'd like to do is all the panelists, maybe you can tell us a few anecdotes of, in your case, maybe, where, it's helped you be bootstrapped and where you think, tell us honestly where it's hurt you, right? In terms of where it slowed you down, not having capital or, not having scale or whatever, or where you've taken on too much risk. Maybe both of you all can address that first from the bootstrapping perspective.
So I think when it was we were bootstrapped and we didn't have much capital at hand, there were a lot of opportunities which we could have taken up. We could have moved faster on those opportunities very, very clearly, and it's very clear that we missed that. So I'll give you a very basic example. So when we're moving into the office area of Sector 5, at that time we could have got an office much cheaper, much bigger, and all in one place, which we could never get because we were bootstrapped and we were kind of expanding space one unit at a time. But otherwise we could have got a much bigger space, which could have also increased the valuation of the company, if you see in that way, because the prices of the place and everything went through the roof. So I think the opportunity cost at times can hurt you badly, and that is what lingers with you. I think the good thing about being bootstrapped is that you are on your own. You make your own mistakes. You don't have to. You are not much accountable to others about making your mistakes, and you can take a leap of faith. You can do very, very wild and very, very big experiments, which your investor may not agree you to do at times. So I think that is something.
But some would argue those are all also negatives, right?
And at the end of the day, you are not working for someone else.
Right, but some would argue that, hey, being alone is dangerous.
Absolutely. So you obviously realize that as well.
Not being accountable to anybody is dangerous.
So you also need someone to actually guide you at point of time. Yeah. So that is definitely there. Yeah.
Okay, good. How about you, Bimal? What do you think are your pros and cons?
See, I'll just take a very simple example and very interesting example for all of you to debate. See, I had a competitor in 2007 in Delhi, and we were both of the same size, in the industry. They were also 350 people, we are also 350 people. And both of us wanted to expand very fast. The market was, a lot of opportunities were there. So they got $10 million equity fund from a very reputed firm. I don't want to name them. They also funded Google. And myself, me poor guy.
There are not that many companies that funded Google.
Okay. And myself, I took a simple $4 million term loan, mortgaging everything that I had, personal guarantee, giving personal guarantee. I spent that money judiciously over 1.5 years. I built up the right assets. I spent money. I purchased computers. If 32 GB RAM is required, I purchased 32 GB RAM. And we had common supplier, HP, both the companies, they supplied the machines. Now those people, so HP came to me like, this company is buying machines of 64 GB, you are buying 32 GB. I mean, they had a mandate that $10 million, you have to spend that money in 3 months. I don't know what was the mandate. So the whole money they spent unnecessarily, which was not required, advertising, big offices, good receptionist, everything, right? and our clients don't.
Okay, let's stop there.
And today they don't exist. They have closed shop. And we have doubled. We have returned our loan almost. So what happens is somehow when we get easy money, I mean, there you tend to spend it fast. Probably you are under compulsion. I don't know. I have not been funded, so I don't know what are the conditions attached with those funding. So you tend to spend it very fast and you're not judicious. Whereas because my meter was ticking, I have to, my interest has started from day one. So I spent, I could take credit from my suppliers as much as possible, right, without hurting me. So that made a lot of difference. So you need to, so that the second issue is to get money again. If you look at the cost of fund, you see, I feel the debt fund is the cheapest, or your parents or families, because the expectation is 10 to 12%. Bank is very happy depending on your credit rating, right? But anybody who is investing in you, who's taking a risk, I don't think anybody is expecting less than 20 or 25% return because they've taken a huge risk without liability. So clearly, if I'm the entrepreneur, and if I'm looking at my cost of fund, there's nothing better than bootstrapping.
Got it. So Ambarish, you're enjoying that penthouse suite, nice reception, and how's it going? You're deep in 3 rounds of funding. You should be having a hunky-dory time.
That is not the case. I see the way you look at funding, it's a rocket fuel, right? You can use it to drive your car fast, or you can just douse yourself with rocket fuel and lit the fire, right, and it'll burn. And I think the case that you're talking about is a rocket fuel in the car which was leaking and it burst into flames. You need to know how much fuel you need, how fast the car can go, right? And then go and take the fuel. And the fuel can be, if that much fuel is not required, then you bootstrap. But if it is you want to move fast, there's a big opportunity staring at you, and somebody else is going to go and take it in next 5 years, then you need the rocket fuel. And in case of Knowlarity, which is a cloud telephony company that I am running currently, we feel that the opportunity is right there on our face. We need to go and take it before anybody else does, and it requires a lot of capital and people, which I cannot do it myself, so I take fund.
Got it. So one of the things that Bimal brought up was loss of control, right? So how many decisions are you not able to take that you would have liked to take because you were VC funded?
It's actually, I think it's one of the, again.
Oh, you're not going to tell us, right?
No, I'll tell you.
This is being broadcast live on the web.
So we also taken fund from a VC who invested in Google. But absolute freedom really in being able to take operating decisions in the company. And what I feel about the VCs, I am talking with many Indian VCs, is I think their job is to invest in the company and be able to hopefully be able to get exit in 5 to 7 years time period when the fund really closes. All thing they are worrying about is how will I get my exit, how will I get my money back, which is they can go back to their LPs and hopefully be able to raise another fund. They are least interested in trying to run your business. And they see miserable entrepreneur working day and night. They don't want to have that life. They have better lives. I had not had problem where I was making decisions which anybody stopped. Being the domain expert of the area, being expert of the industry. We started the industry in India. So I haven't had problem, and we had a pretty large problem to solve. We have a very large problem to solve, and it requires capital. We're using it.
Got it. So Ashish, you have the best of both worlds, right? You bootstrapped a company, and then you sold it to somebody. So now you've got a big enterprise supporting you, right? How does that feel, just personally?
I think basically bootstrapping is not by choice, okay? At least in my case, if he got $1 billion funding, he would have also said, okay, come, right? So idea is, I may have wanted it, it never came, so I had to continue with bootstrapping, hoping some prince will come and make my life easy, but no prince came. So effectively, and that is, lotteries don't come to everyone, right? Some people who are lucky, like Ambarish, but most of us are not. And so that's my lesson learned in life, saying I have to continue to work hard, I have to stay within my limits. I may have dreams, but they don't matter. Ultimately, you have to stay in reality. And when opportunity comes, kind of sell off. And if you sell off, what happened to me, rather it was owned by my wife. She's a doctor, but the shares were in her name. And so the tax liability becomes very large. And so one of the biggest issues is that how to come out for an entrepreneur is more important than how to get in. Because you may sell and you will realize that most of the money which you realized has gone to basically paying off the debt, and then you have a huge tax liability. Although your money may come over 5 years, your tax liability becomes immediate. So unless you structure things well, unless you plan things well, and understand some basic stuff, you can be really in trouble. And I have seen, I have run large organizations, I have sort of set up an exchange, and I have worked for literally the largest organization in the country. But effectively, many of these things you need to do, unless you die, you don't go to heaven. So for going to heaven, you have to personally die, So all these things you have to learn yourself. No amount of consultancy, advice, etc. will help you.
Got it. So any other kind of thoughts you all have on bootstrapping versus getting funded? Any anecdotes you've seen from friends? I mean, because pace of growth is one. Optionality to be able to expand fast. Do you get eaten up by your competitors? Seems like it would happen, right? In many cases where you didn't have the funding. And then partnerships also. Will people big companies want to partner with a company that doesn't have funding, where it's a single owner? What have you faced any of those issues? Because those are all issues that came up in my mind, at least, when I was looking at it as an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah, so till few years back, I was running my company. I was almost a proprietorship company, and one of my client, they actually put my name on the risk register. That what happens if this guy, goes off from this planet? So those kind of problems, and obviously there are issues when you are a single owner, of course, but obviously you can convert into corporate structure and fix that. So we also fixed things. We kind of brought a board of advisors that helped us, that guided us. I did set my own KPIs, make sure that I am assessed on a regular interval, which obviously funded companies have by default because of the investors whom they have. So I think those are few good things that you have in funded companies in terms of the management structure, which eventually you can adapt if you want to adapt. There's no one stopping you from doing that.
I want to know one thing, like those who have been funded, what do you think is the expectation of the people in terms of returns? What do they expect per year from their funding?
So, I was funded by Bain Capital and Trilogy before that, so I've had two investors, and they have sky high expectations.
Still, like what is
Actually, anytime I'd go in there, and to your point of this company was spending money like mad, there's a lot of pressure to put the resources to use when you're, especially venture capital money. It might be different in debt, and I think the SME exchange is very different altogether. It's a different hybrid opportunity, right? But when you got a venture capitalist, the clock is ticking. They have a 7-year fund. Depending on where you pick up the funds during that 7-year course, on average, you'll probably get invested in the second or third year. That means they've got 4 years left. They want to exit and they want to show a good return. And for them, it's much better to have a binary outcome, 0 or 200 billion, than something in between.
But isn't life a non-binary game,
Yeah, so that's the decision you make when you get funding from a venture capitalist. That's something you have to consciously make. There are lifestyle businesses also, and very good lifestyle businesses, let me say.
But Ravi, as I said, the cost of capital, we as a owner of the business, now, today I was lucky, I don't know, but today I think the banks are willing to pay you as much. Trust me, in 2007, they gave me a term loan 3 times more my turnover. 3 times my turnover, and the collateral security also was not much. But yes, I had a credit history with the bank that I took 2-3 loans earlier and returned in time. So they gave me a $4 million loan, Indian bank. They're also a public sector bank, and I didn't spend a penny for that. Let me again tell you that. And they're willing to invest. And today, if I go to them for, I think $20 million, they will probably give me. So I don't understand why should we go to somebody who is expecting 25%. If I'm confident about my business, why should I?
Ashish, could you comment on that? I mean, you're much more familiar with that market. Is debt really that easily available? I mean, I think Bimal is an exceptional guy.
I didn't get a bank loan. I was a banker. Okay, so effectively, for me, let me tell you the other side of the story. Okay, I'm marketing SME segment. Okay, so bear with me. Basically, what happens is when you are taking funding, your hands, legs, everything is tied, okay? But ultimately it's a good life because at least you have funding. So as he says, it's a rocket fuel. What you do with it is your choice. But if you list instead and tell the provider of the rocket fuel to also come in and list, basically pay money there, then what happens is you are creating the wealth out of your income. See, most of us entrepreneurs, we go in scooter, then we want to have a car. When we have a car, we think BMW. After BMW, all of us are kind of, by the time we are old and either we have diabetes, which I have 10, 15 years back, or some high blood pressure. Then you start saying, okay, abhi bachcha bada ho jayega, theek hai, abhi chup baitho. So that is how most of us have that issue, you know. So if you want to convert your income, because as he said, if you fall ill, when an entrepreneur doesn't have a right to fall ill, because then what happens to the business, right? And it is as much true for an IT entrepreneur as a restaurant owner or anything. So I always tell, because of my experiences, I tell that convert your income into wealth. List on BSE. Dhirubhai Ambani, when he came to Bombay from Eden, he used to be a petrol pump attendant in 1960s, okay? In Eden, in Africa. From there, when he came back, he started as a small entrepreneur like me and you. Diabetes, which I have 10, 15 years back, or some high blood pressure. Then you start saying, okay, abhi bachcha bada ho jayega, theek hai, abhi chup baitho. So that is how most of us have that issue, you know. So if you want to convert your income, because as he said, if you fall ill, when an entrepreneur doesn't have a right to fall ill, because then what happens to the business, right? And it is as much true for an IT entrepreneur as a restaurant owner or anything. So I always tell, because of my experiences, I tell that convert your income into wealth. List on BSE. Dhirubhai Ambani, when he came to Bombay from Eden, he used to be a petrol pump attendant in 1960s, okay? In Eden, in Africa. From there, when he came back, he started as a small entrepreneur like me and you. I have many of his friends, because I used to work for him for some years. His friends used to tell me that there used to be a small little office where 4 people would use the same phone. So phone aayega, iska aapka phone hai, that type of stuff. And he started selling spices. And then he started basically into cloth imports and then exports and stuff like that. Why I'm telling you is, if you don't list, you don't become Dhirubhai Ambani, or you don't become Tata, or only way to make money in India and tax-free today is basically by listing. And if you list when you are small, it's easier to do it transparently. If you go to your father, hopefully father doesn't say no, but if you go to father, brother, sister, they'll say, where is my exit? They might not say, but they want some exit. Every Abhimanyu who is getting into Chakravyuh wants to come out. Right? So if you give them listing, saying, boss, you can come out anytime, they also become little more flexible in funding you and so on and so forth, right? And third thing is, if you have seen Indian currency or any currency, it is written, right? मैं धारक को 100 रुपया अदा करने का वचन देता हूँ. Who signs on that? RBI governor? But if you are an entrepreneur, literally this society has given a right to create currency only to an RBI governor or an entrepreneur. When you list your share, you are actually creating your own currency that you can use to take some employees like Narayan Murthy did. It's an amazing thing how this society has allowed people like me, you, to create our own currencies, use that to buy other companies, take some material and so on and so forth. For me, listing is a phenomenal thing. And if you own shares of a listed company for more than 1 year, capital gain tax is 0. It's free. When you do anything, you have to pay tax. But only when you sell your share as an entrepreneur. The society is respecting you so much, is giving you so much of benefits as an entrepreneur is not funny. And for me, that can only come if you are transparent. If when you become listed, you are expected to be disciplined. You are supposed to give your quarterly results and so on and so forth. And you are supposed to be disciplined in paying up taxes, and which all of us would generally do because all new entrepreneurs have no choice. But effectively, if you do that, the benefits are phenomenal. And my request is, consider listing. Today, listing on BSE, if you have a company with issued capital of 1 crore rupees, You don't get a 2-bedroom flat in Salt Lake, okay, in 1 crore rupees. In 1 crore rupee issued capital company, you can list on BSE, okay? And the same BSE where Reliance is listed, and somebody can sell Reliance or ACC share and buy your share without even betting an eyelid, okay? And you become basically a person, when you say I'm listed on BSE, bank manager will get up. You can use those shares as a collateral. Otherwise you have to give your house, right? There are so many benefits. Kindly consider becoming your own entrepreneurs. Even if you're bootstrapping, come and list.
So Abhishek, Bimal, you guys sold?
No, of course. I mean, so what I mean to say is that you can always, when you start off, I think bootstrapping is a great tool. But when you really want growth capital, when you really want to multiply after a given point, and you want that public participation to come in, and you want, as Ashish rightly mentioned, when you want your own currency to go out, obviously listing is a great opportunity, is a great tool. So definitely a great way to kind of bring a liquidity to your business as well.
Got it.
I'm uncomfortable with this. Today, if you look at the young crowd who are, prospective entrepreneurs, they only are looking at Excel, valuation, and they're running after money, and, they're not even started. I mean, they're not even named the company, but they're looking for funding. So that is something, if you are not confident, if you can't put your guarantee and your money and assets into your thoughts, you're not confident about that, how can somebody else pay you? Number one. And number two, even if somebody pays you, he's taking the risk on your behalf and he's going to take a very big pound of flesh from you. Somebody was discussing like Webel, not even a private investment fund, like they invested 10 lakh rupees in a startup and they took 70% equity. That guy is dead. What will he do? What will he grow? So, yes, you are right, Ashish. I agree with you that there will come a stage in your life when you want to raise $100 million and you think that you can grow, you have the canvas, you have the growth capacity. Probably, yes, then it's good to go out because you want to share the risks with other people. But I think to some stage where you reach in your life, where today, in fact, when Dhirubhai Ambani was there were not banks enough to give so much of money, which today they can give. And trust me, when I went to the banks, I made 2 banks fight among themselves to fund me, and they fought for the interest rates, and I took the best deal.
No.
I think I didn't expound on that creation of wealth part of it. I gave you more on currency, but it is nothing to do with public participation, boss. Public participation is besides the point. If you are suppose having a turnover of say 10 crore or say even 5 crore, and if you are making a profit of say 2 crore, what is your wealth? Out of 2 crore, if you are a modern citizen of India, the tax will be around 70 lakhs. What remains is 1.3 crores. And if you do dividend, then again you end up paying some more, and what remains is 1 crore, okay? But if you list it, your 5 crore company with 2 crore profit will be listed at say 50 crore rupees. Now you are worth 50 crore, not 1 crore. And suppose you are not listing and going on a scooter or probably a car and you have an accident, you are in hospital for 2 months. You come out after 2 months, hail and hearty, but your 5 crore will basically now become probably 2 crore because customers would have run away. Why I am telling you this is, this listing has nothing to do with 50 million and 100 million and all. Even if you are small, today as I told you, I have companies listed which have collected even 3 crore, 2 crores and all. It's basically about saying how do I convert my income into wealth. If I have an income of 10 lakh, can I become wealthy of 2 crore or 5 crore? It's better, ne? And so for me, that is more important than saying when I become Dhirubhai's size, I will go. Arey boss, Dhirubhai became your size only after 40 years, but he was listed 40 years back.
Ashish, I would like to open my MBA finance books again. Okay. Tell me, why would I like to share my wealth with others? Why would I list in the company when I know my company is giving me 30% return, and I know my banker who is giving me is happy with 10% or 11% interest that I'm paying? And in share market, you people are greedy. I mean, everybody wants 30% return, right? That's why you're investing in shares. So why would I share my wealth? I mean, I don't agree with you that it becomes 50 crores. It's a wrong valuation of PE. The day you fall.
Ambarish, you had something to
It's a somewhat different perspective. So first, your question that you were asking, like, what is the return that VC typically expect? And I have, it's unconfirmed data, but typically, 10x return in 5 years that is expected for a company which is very successful. So out of 10 companies, 1 or 2 companies in a portfolio will be 10x. And then there's a medium level success, which is like 3x. 300% success return in 4 or 5 years time period, and then the rest of them most probably not do well, right? So out of 10 companies, probably 6 will be bad, like we probably shut down, liquidated. 4 companies out of 4 companies, 2-3 companies will be 3x kind of return, and then hopefully 1 will be like 10x kind of return. That is the expectation. Now, the question that you were asking, like, why would I want to share the ownership of the company right in the beginning? I have like very, very different perspective, and that is shared by many of the venture capital funded founders that I know of. I feel that it's the starting a company like a kid, and it takes a village to raise a kid. The expectation that you own the company itself I feel is inappropriate. Because the company should be owned by not one person cannot build a company. A company to raise a kid, you need the whole village. To build a company, you need employees, you need investment partners, you need well-wishers, you need customers who are crazy about you. It's actually gigantic exercise, really gigantic exercise. And if it's all ownership and all the outcome is just to one person, it just massively reduces the force that you're creating for the company and the output that the company can produce. So right from the beginning, when I was the one who kind of created an Excel sheet and went to the investor and say, give me $500,000, and they gave me $500,000. And I gave them 20% or 15% of the company right away and say, you know what, let's get it started. It also proved to me that this idea is worth not more than me. There are other people also who believe that this idea is good, and they believe so strongly that they are putting their own personal money on this thing. So it is also for me. You are never sure about anything when you're getting external validation, because ultimately you are going to go and build up this company by selling to end customers. When you can go and take this money from investors who are also looking at it in the same way, that this guy is going to build up the company and take it to the end customers and willing to trust $500,000, it gives external validation. So for me, the company is organization building is a participatory exercise right from the beginning. And by doing the participation right from the beginning, I can maximize the resources available to it. I can maximize the diversity of the resources available to it, and I can also maximize the chance of success of the companies, and I can make sure that this company, the success of this company, I will never become a bottleneck. Maybe I am the wrong person to be a CEO of this company 5 years down the line, I should be removed. But at least this idea will go on and hopefully become a great company, Cisco being a good example.
Okay, boss, in some sense I am a little bit of a Bengali. I studied here at IIM Kolkata. So he said about MBA Finance, so I just did MBA Finance 20 years back. Okay, but life of hard knocks, school of hard knocks taught me much more than what the MBA taught me. And for me, if you are on your own, what is your wealth, boss? You might be earning 10 crore, nobody cares. You might have a 10 crore wealth, nobody cares. But if you have shared, and if you have also wealth of 200 crores, people care. So one thing in life is about sharing. Second is it brings a lot of transparency. Third thing which I didn't mention is, yesterday I was talking to somebody and he said the biggest thing is about succession planning if you list. If you are having personal non-listed company, how do you share it between 3 sons and 2 daughters? When you are listed, you give out share and one of them is running or 2 of them are running. It's still very, very transparent. Otherwise, you have Ponti Chadda and Monty Chadda killing each other, right? Second thing is benchmarking, If you list, you start benchmarking yourselves on daily basis, on literally quarterly basis, best company in your industry, how they are paying for the raw material, for the manpower, for this, what are their matrices. You start being automatically aware, whether you like it or not. Normally, in an entrepreneur's life, I have been there. You are the director, you are the producer, you are the singer, you are the hero, you are the heroine, and most of the time you are the spectator, the only spectator normally, right? So, effectively, when you have a larger production, you basically also have chance to hire people by giving stock options. There are many things which, and also this allows you to take debt. Suppose you are, like he was lucky to have funds and have also assets which he can give as collateral, but I didn't have that. So if I have to borrow, how do I do that? I need to have that debt equity ratio. You go and then they'll say, boss, get equity. So this is your equity, right? Once you list it, whatever additional money comes, that is the equity. Against that, you can take the debt. So it allows you to raise basically additional funds. And if you have plans to grow, if you don't, if you want to remain within, but suppose, as he rightly said, if you have an opportunity which is like 100x and you are not able to meet even 2x, and if you had funds, you could go up to 100x. Might as well, for me, take it out. Last story I'll tell you is very interesting story. It happened in front of me. I was very young, just into the job, and Infosys IPO came. Probably they didn't need funds, okay? They were running already a reasonably good ship, and they would have been able to grow even at the internal accruals. They never actually borrowed, so effectively they could have run on internal accruals. But why would Narayan Murthy and Nandan Nilekani listed? Worst thing is they listed at 70 rupees, okay? A share of 10 rupee. And that issue devolved. Nobody bought it. Okay. And then people in those days, there used to be something called underwriting, which is still there. If you want to pay money little, you got to do underwriting. That if the share doesn't get sold in the IPO, those underwriters will buy from you. So your company gets listed and you get the funds as entrepreneurs. So Vallabh Bhansali, if you heard of Inam, 2-3 of those merchant bankers were good enough to buy that share at 70 rupees, and each share after bonuses, rights, everything must be worth probably 50,000, 1 lakh rupees by now, okay? So effectively that 70 rupee thing, and they didn't need to list, money to list. It's just that gave them marketing. And later on, Narayan Murthy is, for me, he might be a great engineer. I've never worked with him. He might be a great engineer, but he's a genius in marketing. He went and listed in New York Stock Exchange. He never needed money, boss. But he got it marketed saying Infosys price is going up, going up, going up. And that is how Infosys started getting contracts also from customers. So there are many usages of the same cow, You can do many things with the cow. And of course, milking is one. But effectively, right? It's not something which you think is obvious. You can use it in many ways, and your genius will lie in first creating your wealth, then not paying tax on that wealth, and then using many other things, right? Doing many other things.
We'll open it up to the audience for a couple of questions as there are. Yeah, please go ahead.
My question is to my good friend Bimal. This is Bimal, the very objective of economic activity is not subsistence. Objective is wealth creation. Subsistence, when we were hunter-gatherers, we were doing subsistence agriculture, little bit more wealth creation, industry, a little bit more, then knowledge. Now we have moved to a stage of creating. Creativity can never have a tangible value. So how can something so intangible as creativity can be financed? Creativity can never be collateral, so you would never get finance from a banker, even though they are wanting only 12%. While an investor might want to have they won't set it for 25%. Some of them would ask 50%. So the objective is wealth creation. Why would that be? I completely agree with Ashish on that. So don't you think wealth creation is the biggest objective of economic activity rather than subsistence?
Of course. And I don't think this fight between, I'm not dogmatic against funding, right? As I said, my good friend in Delhi, he also So he had one way of increasing his business and he stopped working. I mean, they're closed today. So if need required, I'm definitely open to more sources of funding, but do I need that money? Number one. I mean, if I'm getting easily, and today bankers have changed. I don't know what is how much you deal with them. Today bankers also smart, right? My friend is executive director in ICICI Bank, right? So they also understand they're not just looking at collateral, they're also looking at your business model, at you, what is your business about. So they're also thinking like funders, funding people, right? So
actor, producer, director, audience, and also the audience, yourself as well.
Please don't equate unprofessionalism with bootstrapping. Please, I don't disagree, number one. Because this is a very wrong thought. I'm a very professional company. I've got mentors, I've got consultants who monitor I go to them, they come to my office, they monitor my progress. I've got employees with whom I share my success, I give them incentives. I don't give them stocks, which is, again, I don't know, there's a very uncertainty about stocks. If I give my employees option between my stocks and cash, they'll take cash. So, bootstrapping doesn't mean that I'm unprofessional in my working, no. Sorry. Today I have enough mentors available, enough people who can help me. NASCOM.
So he makes a good case for bootstrapping.
Well,
I think,
for
we're all attacking Bimal here, but I think probably the richest guy around here, happiest guy too maybe. So there's a good case to be made for bootstrapping too.
I'll just take this question a bit forward. Don't you think, like you said, okay, I agree with your bootstrapping stuff. Like, don't you think, does your business has this potential that if you put in another $5 million or $20 million, whatever, then your business can be scaled to 50%, like 50 times or 20 times. Does your business have that potential and you don't want to do that?
Yeah, so are you capital constrained or are you market constrained or you've reached satiation yourself personally? What is the constraint here?
Okay, see, I'm growing at 50%. I mean, okay. Because I'm not listed, people don't know, and I don't want them to know, because my private wealth is my wealth, under my home.
No. I
don't want people to know that how much my wealth.
Bimal, like my question again, like I would give this question to Abhishek now. Abhishek, like my question again, I am putting it very simple. You are bootstrap company, you are loving bootstrapping, that's fine. Do you think, let's say if Ravi fund you another $20 million today, does your company have that ability to make your company 20 times, grow it 20 times or 50 times? Is that so? If it is so, then why you are not going for that one? And if it is not so, then anyway you would love bootstrapping, that's what I think. Yeah. You should love bootstrapping, you don't have an option.
So, the question is, are you capital constrained or are you just, you're at the point in life where you're making enough money, you're like, hey,
so
I got a lot of control.
Right. So I think there is we are trying to draw a parallel between either you love funding or you are having a lifestyle business. Let's not compare these things together. These are two different things. I may not be, I may not take a funding, but I may still not be a lifestyle business. I may still be an aggressive business. So what I am saying is that when I take funding, I possibly take it to first unlock my value that I have created so far. And second is, if I see that there is a big scope of growth, I will possibly go public using BSE rather than I raise money from a VC. I'll give you the reason, because I find VC is that Betal on the Vikram who wants the 10 times or 40 times of money within that 7 minutes, or I would say 7 years, and if you cannot give it, he'll break your head and it will kill the business. So either you basically multiply it by 40 within 7 years, or you die. That is something which is not acceptable to me, because it is not necessary that every business will become 10 times or 40 times within that 7 years, and if it does not become, it is not necessary that we kill that business. And that is exactly what happens when VCs basically take command, where that 7-year period or 10-year period that they have. And that is what I am against. So I am not against liquidating or sharing wealth with the public or sharing wealth with other investors who are like-minded and who can actually contribute to the business.
All right. So just for the benefit of the audience, lifestyle business, when he says it, what it really means is mostly it was created, this term was created when VCs invested in a company and it was doing well enough, it was surviving, but the VC couldn't get exit. So they would accuse the entrepreneur of having a good lifestyle, and that their money was stuck there, and it was a lifestyle business. But actually, entrepreneurs don't look at it as, hey, I want to get into a lifestyle business. Let me start.
So you mean that VC does mean either for a business, either you build it or you kill it?
Most of the VC have the mandate in that way. So they will basically make you spend when specially they are seeing that you are not reaching that multiple. They will push you to spend that money so that you at least try to reach that multiple, and that is something wrong.
So I'll give you some more points which come to my mind when I listen to this. One is BSE was set up in 1875, okay, 140 years back. And equity is basically what I call a non-linear payoff. A debt is a linear payoff. You give somebody 100 rupees, at 10%, at most he will give you 110. Most probably he will not give back. But in case he is honest and he has money, he will give you back 110. But when you put in equity of 1 rupee, it can become 100, 10,000, 1 lakh or 0, right? It's a non-linear payoff. 1875 started. There have been wealth before in India. There have been private individuals who have had wealth and so on and so forth. But today, wealth represented on BSE is $1.5 trillion. Okay? Only on equities. $1.5 trillion. And that is all what I call non-linear payoff. Equities investment. Now, what was there around 20 years back, 40 years back, 100 years back was what I call capital intensive business. You have to put in 100 rupees to 100 rupees over 10 years, 20 years. Today, we are having non-linear businesses. Last 20 years or last 15 years, the largest companies set up in the world are basically started with zero, they came out of here and now they are WhatsApp and Twitter and whatever, right? For me, going forward, the businesses which all these guys are doing or what all of you are going to do is basically about brains and very little about capital. But still, it will be about wealth. And you can create huge wealth for yourself, and in the process, if somebody takes away a little bit, what is your problem, boss? If you share with your friends, family, with your countrymen, instead of being a $10 million, 100% yours, it is better to be 75% with 100 million market cap, where basically 75 million becomes yours, right? So why I am telling you this is, be a little charitable to your surrounding, it will help you.
Great. Okay, so we are running out of time. This is a good discussion. One last question for everybody. Ambarish, if you were to do it again, let's say you finished your company, you've sold it, exited an IPO, you're now thinking next company. You're going to bootstrap this time, or you're going to get a round of funding?
Absolutely do the same thing again.
Same thing again.
And just I think one thing that I wanted to say was we are looking at building up a company as a wealth maximization problem. That is not what it is. Typically, the motivation of the founders when they try to build up the company is wealth. Second is in a limited time span that they have, that they live alive, building something. That is very important things that people have in their mind, and that is why you have Mark Zuckerberg saying no to $1 billion outcome for himself. They want to build in 30 years of life that they left with, and wealth is not the reason. So, and many of them, this is a very strong reason, and for that they take funding.
Got it. And how about you, Bimal? I think I know the answer, but no, yeah, okay. And Abhishek, how about yourself?
I think I will fund it myself.
You'd fund it yourself. And
it may not be as bootstrapped it was, because I will always have money from the current business, so I'll possibly invest from that, the right amount that is required, and kind of run it from there.
Got it. And Ashish, I think you'll list on BSE, right? And then sell it. Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen, and thank you for a good, entertaining one. We have for some mentors. I think it came out with everybody. We've got some exceptional entrepreneurs here. Honestly, there's an adverse selection problem oftentimes. You don't see the entrepreneurs who could not get funded when they go out. You don't hear about the bootstrap entrepreneurs who gave up. So you're seeing 4 successful entrepreneurs who have actually made it, right? Regardless of what method. So, I think they're all going to be successful regardless, and they'll stick true to their convictions, right? More likely than not. So I think it's a good debate, and I think, for everybody, it was mostly to get out the issues that entrepreneurs face, right? When the trade-offs between the two different modes. Thank you very much for sharing.
Thank you so much. I would now like to request Mr. Ravi Gururaj to hand over mementos to the panelists.